Hi everyone. Good evening and good morning, wherever you're watching this from. It's me again, Peter. I really wanted to thank you for taking the time to, you know, join me on this journey. It's been a very long journey, and I think that it's pretty, really worth it, and also worth the time. So I'm very super grateful, and I hope that you have learned a lot on this journey. So today we're going to be doing something really different. So we are going to talk a little bit about we're going to talk a little bit about keyboards. So which is some things that also have been saying. I think is the best way for us to learn together and see what we can do. So hopefully you get ready and we can go. So what are we going to do today? We're going to explain a little bit what keyboards is. We're not going to dive deeper and we're going to do a lab. In front of me, I have a DC1, which is the main controller. I also have a file server. I also have a file server and I have a client machine that we're going to be using for this scenario for KVRS authentication. So let's get started. Before we get started, I hope that you already have this server. This is completely new, so don't worry. I'm going to go ahead and set everything up for us. You can always skip this video to wherever you think it's good for you. But for the sake and the benefit of new folks or new engineer that really wanted to have like a hands-on practice, then I will be doing it step by step. And also, I'm going to do my best to, in the video description, I'm going to put the, how do you call it, like a navigation of what I'm actually talking about in each step. Also, if you need the PDF of this lab, I will be able to pull up something at the end of this video and I can actually share with you. Thank you so much for listening. So now, what is KBrush? I know maybe most of you already heard about it and also you have some idea of how, but if you don't, no worries. You can always bring something out or Google something out to understand at least a little bit. But from my side, I would say this is how I'm going to explain it. We already know there is an authentication protocol that actually uses tickets to allow nodes to prove the identity over a non-secure network. So it uses like a symmetric key cryptography and a trusted third party called key distribution center. So the keyword right here is that is an authentication protocol. It uses tickets to prove an identity over non-secure network. And also it uses the symmetric key cryptography and also if you're a support engineer, you might have been hearing about KDC, which is the key distribution center. So let's quickly do something here before we continue. I just want to make sure that I put my time. So like I always do, this is section one and normally on section one we have 15 minutes. So we always try to get 5 minutes before we get started and also 15 minutes. So now I just activate that on the left hand side of the screen. All right, so talking about the keyboards. Now let's imagine something that you enter into a secure building. So a secure building that we are talking about here is just It's just a file server, but there's a security guard. Of course, if you want to enter a secure building, someone have to be in front of it like, hey, where are you going? So the security guard right here is going to be our domain controller at the gate. That is going to ask, hey, why do you want to enter a secure building? Then you need to provide something. So before you go to that secure building, you're always going to need a ticket to get inside. That's Kerberos. So let's go back again. A file server or any other server, there's always going to be a security guy before you can go into any secure building. And then you will always need a ticket. So you, where you're going to be the client, so either you are Windows 10, just like I have it right here, and the building is going to be our file server where the resources are where we want to access. And a security guard, it's going to be the domain controller. So now we need a ticket. It's going to be an encrypted ticket to prove that, oh, yeah, you are who you said that you are. So, and that is what we call the ticket granting ticket, where we say TGT and also service ticket. So, cablers actually use tickets instead of password every time. So it's secure and it's fast. So now we're going to take it to, now that you understand that concept a little bit, we're going to do our lab. So what do we have here? We have a domain controller, we have a file server, and we have a client. So what I've done is just push in Windows Server 2025 here for my DC. You can see that it's clean. I have not done anything about it because, like I mentioned, I want to do it from scratch. So we only have that three server, so two server and one client in order for us to be able to reproduce this lab. So what are we going to cover? We're going to cover setting up the domain. We're going to join the machine to the domain. We're going to create a file share and we are going to understand the Kerberos ticket flow. We're going to capture the traffic with Wireshark and we're going to troubleshoot with Event Viewer. So these are the things that we're going to be doing on this call. So we're learning together. So you can pause this video and quickly create your lab machine. Or if you already have one, then you might skip the lab setup that we're going to do right now. So step one, we're going to set up our domain controller. So what we wanted to do here is that I will go ahead and rename this computer. So we call it, so let me go back again because you might not be able to see what I click. So this is the computer name. I'm going to click on it. Then I'm going to click on change and I will do TC01. So I will click on OK to rename it. And it's going to ask me if I want to restart my computer. I'll say OK. So something very simple, you close and it's going to restart. So I'm going to show you all the process like I mentioned. You can always skip this process, but I just want you to, if you are doing it on your side, I want you to compare it so that you can see if it is the same thing that you are getting or not. So while you're actually having that, depends on the your machine capacity. It might be slower than the one that we are seeing right now, or it can be a lot faster. So it's back. We go ahead and send, and besides, if you are wondering what am I using here, I'm using the VMware Workstation Pro. So let's go ahead and log in now that I have my computer name changed. All right, so let's see. Okay, that's coming up. So if you're actually following, it looks like it's going to be coming up on your side also. And once it's up, then we want to go ahead and set a static IP address for this computer. Why? Because it's a domain controller, and we don't want that to be having a dynamic IP every time. Because maybe we can use this server in the future for a different thing. So we just want to go with the best practice. So that is just the that is just the idea. All right. Now that we have it, if you go to the local server, we see that the name of the computer has changed. Let's say to DC1. So what we wanted to do is that we want to set an IP address for this. And before we do that, you can always go to CMD. Like I said, it all depends on your resources. It looks like it's really, I mean, it's kind of slow on my side. Well, it's part of learning. All right. Oh, instead of you searching, you can just right click and, hmm, why is it slow? Let's see. Okay. I think I know why it's slow because I actually have the resources that I assigned to this server. It's like bare minimum, which I think you're going to do on your side also. But if you have like more resources, you can always do it. All right, Peter, patience, patience, patience. I might need to increase the memory for this. Let me check. Maybe that is the issue. We never know. All right, so yeah, let me just give it 8 gigs. So I think it might work really fast. So remember where we are. We are trying to go ahead and check so that we can give this DC a static IP address. But it's very easy, and if you already know what your IP address is, but let me see, no idea. Okay, let's see what's going on here. So if you're wondering what I did here, I just click on the internet and I click on the IPv4, right click and go to properties. So, and I'm going to go to IPv4. You can double click on it. So right now, because I'm actually on my local computer, it actually getting the IP address automatically. So I wanted to change it. So that is the reason why I want to go to CMD and run ipconfig so that I can see what IP address I have with this computer. So, so it looks like I have 192. So I would I will keep it. So I'm going to keep it. So I just want to copy that. Now put it here so that it never change. Then I'm going to put the default gateway also. Since I'm going to be promoting this to a domain controller, I just going to put, because that is going to be a DNS server also. I'm going to put it here. I click OK and OK. So now you can see right now that we lost network, but we just put the same thing, so we should be able to get that one back. Now I'm just going to click out of it. I will go to Manage, Add Roles and Features. Next, next, next. It's more of next finish, so we're going to do Active Directory Domain Services, Add Features. Next, 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 and install. Yeah, if you're actually following along, I do really appreciate that because the idea is to do everything from scratch for you. So you can replicate that on your own lab and see what you're doing and if it's actually the same thing that you are seeing here also. It's going to take a while, and to save some time, I think let's go ahead and set up the file server at the same time. So we're going to do the same thing here, and I will go ahead and bump up the memory on this so that it's not going to be like really slow. So I'm going to give like 8 gig of RAM. Yeah, so why not? So we can give 8 gig. So let's go back to see this. Okay, it's okay. Now we have 8 gig of RAM over here. So we are performing the same step. So while you're doing that, you can jump onto your next server and we can practice the same thing. We change the name, we name it file server 01, and we'll let the machine does its thing. So it's going to restart now. So while we have that going, we go back to our DC1 just to see if that finished. And remember that you have your client server also. I think I'm going to give this the same thing. So we don't, I mean, if you have the resources, I mean, the minimum that you can do here is just 2 gig. If you do 2 gig, it's okay because to be honest, this is just a lab. So you don't want to allocate all your resources just because of this. But if you have like maybe 64 gig of RAM, you can go for it. It's cool. I mean, it's not going to make anything, well, it's going to make a lot of difference because it's going to be more faster than when you're using like 2 gig of RAM. So now, while that is doing its own thing, let's go ahead and check our server. And we're waiting for the file server to actually come. We're going to apply the same thing also to our file server. So let's understand that the IP address that we actually associate here, which is 192.168.26.129, we're going to do the same thing here. So I like to name them one after the other. So I'm going to give this one, I think the other one is 29. I'm going to give this one 130. So remember, we haven't joined this to domain yet. All we are doing is changing the name, the server name, and trying to join that. Now that we are promoting this to a domain controller, then we are getting this server ready just to save time. All right. So let's go ahead and check out the same thing we are going to do on the Windows 10. You can actually do that simultaneously. So let's see how to, let's go to settings. Let's say system settings. It's been a while that I've been here. So view your PC name. All right. So we just want to rename this PC and we're going to call it client 01. Why? Okay. Next. And we're going to restart. Pretty easy, right? So while that one is going on, so yeah, we have this one back and looks like our DC is about to finish. Well, I was thinking of doing this before the the call, but since this is a study section, I just like to, do everything from scratch, just in case some other folks really want to do the lab and they are not familiar with it. So if you have some experience already, you can go ahead and skip this to where we started looking at the the file server itself. But I really want us to do the lab setup, on the networking side, which is what we are also doing here. We are setting up the static IP address and ensuring that the DNS is actually pointing to DC1 on all our machines. So, which I really find valuable. So, just in case. So, looks like this is almost done, and we should have this also. Nice. So another thing we can do here is that we can go to on the client machine, we can open the network and sharing center. Why we're doing that is because we want to set the same IP address on this one also, because we're going to be joining this machine to a domain. So we need to make sure that they are able to see each other. So we did the same thing. We go to the Internet Protocol version and we're going to say, if you're not sure, you can just come here, CMD, and you can do IP config, and you can see a little bit. So this one is actually, it's perfect, 131. So the other one is going to be 130, and the DC is going to be 129. So we just don't want it to change. We just put it in there. We have the same gateway server, but what is actually changing here is the DNS. Sorry about that. Actually changing is the DNS. So let's see. Okay, so the DNS server, which is going to be our DC domain controller, it's actually 192.168.26 and 129. So we really want this to be pointed to the domain controller. Why? Because we are going to join it, and also we want it to be a member server once we finish promoting this to a domain controller. It's gonna take a little bit of time, but don't worry. This is a learning process for you and I, so that we can catch up with everything. So now we are on the file server. Let's go ahead. Now that we have renamed it, let's go ahead and set the static IP for our file server also. So we do the same thing, and if you're not sure, you can always do CMD. You can always do CMD. and you can do the same thing, ipconfig, but be very careful because, wow, you see, actually, it's perfect. The first one is 129. Well, in my case, I think maybe they are reading my mind, I don't know, but it looks really perfect for me. So just make sure that you name it to something that you know that you won't forget or it doesn't change. So the only thing that is changing right now is the DNS server. So 192.168.26 and 129. Why 129? Because we have a domain controller that we wanted to point to because we want to make this to be a member, well, server on our network. So now that one is done and we go back to our domain controller, we're just patiently waiting. Actually, what we are doing right now is that we actually take step one, which is setting up our domain controller. Because of our time, we are trying to do them simultaneously because what we need to do in the first step is set up the computer name, set a static IP address, and you say now promote it to a domain controller. Now the features installation is done and we want to promote this DC1 to be a domain controller. So all you have to do is that do the promotes and now here since we don't have any existing domain controller in our environment, we have to add a new forest. Here I'm going to call it StudyWithPeter.com. You can call it anything. You can say contoso.lab, you can say peter.lab, anything that you want. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to put it StudyWithPeter.com. Next, it's going to go and do all this paparazzi and you want to enter the password. Please don't forget this password is very, very important. You're going to click on next, next, and you can see it's kind of easy to set up a domain controller. Once you do it every time, most of the time, whenever I did a lab like this, I just go ahead and destroy them and redo it again so that I can get familiar with that. So I'm going to click on next, and this is just telling us where the database folder, the log folder, and the sysvol folder is going to be, which is the database. Next, next, and once it verified a prerequisite for the domain controller operation, then it's going to allow us to install it. You see, everything is checked and successful. Then we're going to go and click install. So while that is actually doing its thing, let's go back to the file server. Now, we already set up the IP address, we changed the name, and we did the same thing for our client one also. So everything is set for us to actually point it to domain controller. So why this is actually happening, you can go ahead and you know grab some coffee and let's just wait and you can enjoy this music. I'll be right back. All right, it looks like it's even more faster than I think. So now everything works fine. You just have to restart. So that is just the process. If you are here since the first since the first minute, you're actually really doing well. I just wanted to thank you that you're staying behind to learn something new. We're gonna see a lot of interesting things after we have our machine up and running. It's really beautiful and we learn as we go. So I was able to do all this thing because I've done them like multiple times and all over and over and over again. So let's just wait a little bit while our domain controller comes up. All right, it looks like we are back now. So let's go ahead and you see now domain controller is back. I'm very happy on this one because it's amazing. It's amazing. So let's go ahead and enjoy it. Now, let's log in. Okay, we're waiting for you to come up. Brilliant. So remember, if you see these actually changing, it's because I'm actually running in Windows Server 2025. You can go ahead and download the evaluation version. It's really cool. Yeah, I like it. So I don't want to see this message again. And I want to make sure that I wait for it to come up. Okay, it looks like it's up and running right now. Yeah, we still have some stuff here, still loading. Okay, it looks like I'm too forward here. Let's just wait for it to completely load. So, looks like it's done, but if you look at this, it looks like it's still doing some stuff. So, let's go to our file server and let's try to do something. Let's try to go to CMD and let's see if we're able to ping that server. So we are pinging 192.168. Let's see, 26.126.129. You can see that we are getting a reply to that. Why? Because we have pointed our DNS to go to that server. So now what we wanted to do is that we want to join this server to that domain controller. We're going to go to the work group and we can do it with PowerShell also, but it's the same thing. So we're going to do change and we're going to go to member of domain, study with Peter. Okay, and it looks like it's hang up a little bit. Not every time it's going to be smooth, guys. Let's see. I still don't know what's going on with this domain controller because it looks like it's ready and it looks like it's not ready. Okay, so StudyWithPeter.com. So once you click on OK, it's going to validate and try to talk to the domain controller. So in this case, I'm going to do is asking me to enter like a enterprise admin or an administrator from the DC1. So what I'm doing here is that I'm going to go ahead and do StudyWithPeter.com backslash administrator. Then I'm going to put my password and I'm going to click on enter. If everything works fine, we're going to get, okay, you say, welcome to StudyWithPeter.com, and I'm going to click on OK, and we should be restarting our server. Restart. So, why this is doing its stuff, I'm going to do the same thing for the um, client machine. So here, it's been a while I haven't been here, but I can go to name, work, school. Okay, let's say this one. Sorry, it's been a while. I have not touched Windows 10. So join to a domain or join to Azure. In a later video, I'm going to talk about this, but for now, we're going to join to a domain. So what is our domain name? StudyWithPeter.com. So it's going to ask us to enter your domain account info to verify you have the permission to connect to the domain. So I'm going to do the administrator. Okay, my bad. Administrator. You might be asking, why don't you put study with Peter? Let me put it. It doesn't matter here. StudyWithPeter.com. Why? Because I already have the domain showing me, so I don't need to do that. But hmm, I need to investigate why this is happening. All right, so now we have actually joined. I'm going to skip it because it's not me who is going to be using this, but I just skip that. You can always skip that and restart now. Or you can just say next. So now we have these and these and these up and running. So which is really, really, really good. You can see that I've actually closed that if you really want to bring it back to life. So we are going to do that. So now be very careful because I noticed something right here that I don't have internet, so I should be able to fix that. But I just want to show us now that we have completed the step one by joining the server, set the name, DC1, we have set a static IP address, and we have installed the Active Directory domain services. Also, we have actually promoted that to a domain controller. Everything is gone. For the step two, we have actually done this server. We have renamed it. We have joined it to domain controller also. And since we have joined it, we will be able to log into any user that is created or that have permission to log in remotely to the server, which in that case is going to be administrator. All right. So what's going on? Admin. That is supposed to be administrator. All right. So now, oh, okay. Let's see. It looks like I'm not logging into the domain. So this is our client. So I'm just going to do studywithpeter.com/administrator. All right. So if you're following this video, I really want to thank you a lot because you are taking a step forward to learn something great and something that can actually be of benefit to you, not only to you, to your career. So we have actually completed the first step, second step, and the third step, which is actually preparing our lab. So now, on step number 4, what we wanted to, like I mentioned, you can fast forward this video. I'm going to put like a navigation here for those of us. I think if you're watching this video to this point, it's amazing because I can consider that you don't have your lab set up already. So from here now is when some good things started happening because we're going to set up a file share on the FSO1. So, which is what we're going to be doing right now. Let's see what we have here. All right, let me zip some coffee because it's about to get interesting. It's about to get interesting. All right. All right, let's see what's happening here. I want to quickly check something on the file server really quick. Maybe on the domain controller. just show none, but it's going to populate those information. I want to take a look in my settings. Okay, see, 192.168.26, 129. So let's all right. So I just want to make sure that my domain controller is actually pointing directly to his own DNS. That's it. So, all right. So let's go back to my file server and yeah, let's make sure that this one also is pointing right. Yeah, it does. 129. Okay. You know, pam, 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 pam. I'm checking something here really quick. All right. So, cool. Yeah, I'm good. So, let's go ahead and do a thing. So the next step is actually going to create on this file share, we need to create a folder inside C, and we're going to call it share. So it's going to get interesting. So we go to C drive, and under the C drive, just right click, new folder. And as easy as that, we just call it share. That's it. So we're going to right click on this share, and we're going to go to properties. So we need to pay attention a little bit here. We're going to go to sharing, and we're going to go to advanced sharing. Here we're going to say share as data share. So we leave the share name to be share, no problem. So we're going to set the permission for everyone to have full control. This is not recommended in production. So look at what I did. I click on permission, everyone, and I have them to full control. Apply OK. Now, let's see. I'm gonna permission. Okay, just to make sure that everything is there. Apply. Okay. So we also need to add some stuff right here. 1 second. And Sherry, just don't want to make sure. Please bear with me. So sorry about that. So now remember what we did. We just right click on it. We go to properties and we go to sharing. We click on share and we make sure that everyone, once we click on share, we make sure that everyone have a permission on this share. Now, I'm sorry, we go to advanced sharing, not share, and we make sure that we have it to share and permission here so everyone have access to it. Now, after this, we go to security. So we're going to click on edit. Now here, we want to add domain user. So we click on add and we're going to put domain. Let me check. Okay, yeah, because we are not a domain controller, so we're just going to put an administrator password. Okay, let's see what happened here. Okay, let me do study with Peter slash. Did I spell that right? Okay, so we just want to add a domain user. Then we click OK. So on the domain user, we don't need to do that much. All we have to do here is just make sure that we have the domain because they can read, write, you know. All the domain user means that, for example, if I create, they're not administrator. Well, administrator already have access. So if I have like user one is able to read, write, list content, read here. So I'm not giving that full access. So click on apply and OK. So that's all for this lab. For the number for setting up a share file on the FS1. So now that we have that, now let's say that the client one, the on the client server, what's this? Okay, okay. So let's say now we want to have client one to access the FS01 on the data share that we have. So let's understand the flow right here. We get it? We're going to log in. So let's say you log into client one, just like we're doing it right now. So what client one has just did right now is that client one has actually get what we call a ticket granting ticket from the KDC. And where is the KDC residing? It's residing on the domain controller. So for that to authenticate, so what client one want to do right now is to go and access the FS1 because it wanted to access the file shared that we have. So it has to send a ticket granting ticket to the KDC that is actually on the DC1 and ask for the service ticket. So those service ticket, we're going to see that later, but we're just trying to understand the concept right here. So, and the KDC, which is actually residing here, it's going to send the service ticket. So obviously the ticket is going to be encrypted with the file server secret. And then the client is actually going to get the ticket from the to the FS01, which is the file server, and it's just going to say, okay, you're valid, and I'm going to grant you access. So it's like you get a ticket, Kerberos ticket, so it's equal to ticket granted ticket, service ticket, and access. So that's how that one works. So for example, now let's go ahead and let's go and see on the file server. Let's see, I think the file server is actually on the FS, sure. Let's go back. Okay, you can actually copy the path to this, and you can go to your client machine, and let's see. 1 second. One second. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, sorry. Yeah, spelling, blah blah blah. Okay, administrator. Windows cannot have access to that. Okay, let's see. So these are the things that you will be facing also in your environment. But let's see. It's part of the learning process. Okay, I was able to ping that. Now let me ping it back. Yeah, I was able to ping it back to each other. So, which is cool. And let's go back to client PC machine. Two things is happening here. Either I'm not putting the right name, or let me see what the shared name is. Okay, okay. I think I'm putting it right. That is a share file. You see, I was not putting it in the right tab. So, sorry about that. Now, you see, we're able to have access to it. And that means everything is working. So, now, let's go back here. Let me just put a file here. I'm going to say secret file. And in my secret file, I'm just going to put 000. All right. So, um, now we're going to see something here. We have access to it. We're able to open it from the client machine. So now, how do we, what I just explained, like the login to the client The client want to access, and the KDC is sending a ticket, service ticket, and the client send a service ticket to the FSO1 and that authentication flow. So how do we see this? So before we can see this, we need to collect some logs. So so that we can actually see that in the stuff. So let's do something because I might need to download Wireshark right here. So let me see how, because now it looks like I don't have internet anymore. Mm, and I think that is happening because of my, what? Beating account administrator. Oh, okay. Mm, 1 second. I'll fix it back. I just wanted to check something. Oh, it looks like it's time to go to break. All right. No, it's not. Break time is not 15 minutes. So let's take a break here, okay? Let's take a 10-minute break. So Alright, so our break is over, so let's go ahead and start start section 2. Yeah, let's see. So there we go. So welcome back, and so where are we? So what we did is that we create the DC one. We set it up. We create a file server. We set it up when we create a client machine, and we are actually able to have access to the share server with. So we built. Let's go ahead and check something like on the DC one. We wanted to check something interesting, so let's go to event viewer because we wanted to look for how the ticket granting ticket is actually requested. So on the DC, I want to go to Windows log. I want to go to the security log. So in the security log, we're actually looking for some event ID. So we're looking for the event ID 4768 and also 4769. So the 4768 is actually the ticket granting ticket, and the 4769 is the service ticket requested. So we're waiting for this to load. So let's see if we can filter the current logs. Remember that the KDC is actually happening on the domain controller. So that is where the ticket is actually issued. So we're going for 4768 and we're going for 4769. Do we have? Yes. Okay, if you take a look into this, you will see that we have this event ID that we actually filter out. And what I want us to say is the Kerberos ticket service operation because that is what we're actually looking for. So if you look at this, you will see that DC1 I can domain logon guild, and we can see the service name which is KRBTGT, which is a ticket granting ticket. Remember, 4769 is the service ticket that is actually requested. So it looks like okay. Let's do something. I saw 48, 29. I'm looking for where 48 and now 68 and 69 happen. Okay, this is me. It's my username. Let's take a look. Okay, the domain controller information, client IP, client address. What other information we can see here? So we are seeing response ticket hash. So, which is good. And if we look at this, this is the 4769, which is the service ticket that was requested. And you can see the ticket hash and the response. So let me take a look into something here. Okay, this is what I want to show you. We look at the response ticket hash 9 plus and 4A. Let's let me just copy that one out. Remember, it's all about the ticket because that is what you need to prove who you say you are. So Kerberos doesn't use password, it uses ticket. So now you say 4768 is actually telling us that this is the ticket granting ticket that was actually requested, and this is the service ticket that was actually also requested. So if you scroll down, we can see the ticket request and response. If you take a look into that here, we can see that, okay, I was actually thinking, yeah, it's the same. You can see that the request ticket is here and the response ticket is here. So this is what I was actually trying to bring out, like this one the same and the response is this. Alright, so as we're learning, we're just making sure that we're understanding what it is. Now, how do we know if this is actually what kind of authentication that we're getting? So the only way, because on the DC is the ticket, or you request for the ticket. Like if you remember at the beginning of this call, I mentioned that you are the client. You're trying to access a file server. So there's going to be a security guard, which is a domain controller that is going to say, hey, you know what? Before you can go to this file server, you need a ticket to prove yourself. So that is the ticket that we actually saying here that okay, yeah, I give you the ticket, you give me back, and no, once everything is valid, then you can go ahead. You say a Kbros ticket was requested, so uh, you can go ahead and you say a Kbros authentication ticket, TGT. You say TGT 468, and the service ticket TGS was actually 469. So we can actually see that, okay, yeah, we have ticket going on here. So once it's validated, then you can have access. So now let's go to the file server. What we're trying to do here is that we wanted to see, hmm, okay, who is actually making that stuff up? Like what kind of logon event we can see? Who is accessing who have access to come and request for this information? So we have to go to the event viewer, Windows log, and we have to go to the security. So remember, on the DC, it's the same security because this is where the KBROS authentication service is actually happening. For, like I said, um, can somebody remind me about can somebody remind me? Going. Okay, so we just missed that. So I wanted to ask, what is the event ID? 4768 and 4769. So more time that you actually get familiar with this, it's going to be easy. Now, let's go and check the login type. So, and this is going to be event 4624. So it's not something that you wanted to cram, but as much possible that you are actually doing it, you'll be able to know this kind of event. So if you look at that, account was successfully logged on, and then let's go ahead and see what kind of logon. We are looking for the event with logon type 3 because that is a net what we just performed is a network logon. So this is logon. No, we don't need this. We don't need this. We don't need this. Okay, there you go. I find the logon type 3. Okay, this is logon type 3, but it's telling me that we have these. Okay, the source server, remember that the source server 192.168.26.31 is a client machine, and it's telling us that we have logon process, which is the KBROS and authentication. So this is just for us to see what kind of authentication. So, and if you look at it, the most common type of interactive login. And so we're just looking for network login here, and we're looking for the logon type here. So which we can see that it's not easy, but if we take a look into the logs and at the right place, then we will be able to work on it. So we just see the ticket granted ticket in action, and also we just see the type of authentication that was used to access the file server and who did that. Where is the source from? The source is actually from the client machine. And how do we confirm that? On the we can see that on the server. Now, there's another way to see this actually is by collecting like a network trace. And let's see how we can collect network trace while we are doing this. So, one second. I will try to have access to this file share one fs. Okay, I just want to make sure that I copy the path. Copy the path, go back here. No, that's not the path. What I want to do is right click on it. Come properties, sharing. Okay, this is the path. Share. As you can see. Well, what I want to do is that while I'm actually trying to access this, what happened? I want to take a network trace that we can see the flow. Where am I? What happened? Okay, okay. The system cannot contact the domain controller. Let me see. Who am I? Why? What happened? You don't have to, but it's just part of my whole troubleshooting. So, do 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 do. Anyway, we're just learning. So, you can always do anything that you want to do here. So, and let's wait for those server to actually come back. So, we can actually take a trace and we can open it and we can see some trace. So let's wait a little bit. So you can go and grab your coffee while we are waiting for our system to come up while you're enjoying the music. All right, so um, our machine is back. Um, oh, come on. Let me go ahead and log in. Okay, looks like this machine is not. Okay, this one is done. It's pretty interesting to see now, just to learn about, because if you're going to be troubleshooting these, we always understand that for the ticket is always going to be on the main controller, and for the information is always going to be on for U, and the source is always going to be on the file server. So let's just have that in mind. But if you wanted to see what is the traffic looks like, and also then we have to collect a network trace. So which is what we're going to do now. I'm going to show us how to do that. It takes time, it's not easy. You see, this thing doesn't restart. What happened? Okay, I just now going to take our time. I just go ahead and open this server manager. So now, yeah, let's go to let's go to our client server, and we're going to perform a network trace. So let's just see, we can actually use the built-in tool to do this. So which is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to open the command prompt. So I'm going to type netsh trace start and then capture equals to yes, then trace file equals to, so where I'm going to save it, let's go to save it into C, and we're going to call it network underscore trace.etl. So now it's going to start capturing. As you can see, it says running, so that means it started capturing the trace. So let's go ahead and access the file. So what the file name is going to be. So let's remember that the file name is backslash fs01 share. So hopefully we're able to have access to it. Okay. Anyway, we're going to see everything in the logs. It say otherwise. Okay. Okay. Let me see if we can ping. Yeah, I can ping it. Okay. Okay. I think we can have access to it because of the gateway. So let me make some changes here while you're enjoying the music. music. I'll be right back.